What's up, y'all? So this is going to be a live demo of my campaign creation process. We'll be going over the campaigns, the operational backend. I'll be showing you how we come up with the copywriting, how we collaborate with clients to make sure that we're doing the best possible campaigns, and you'll basically see everything from start to finish, the whole process. So let's get started with the very first thing that happens the moment we onboard a client, which is this automation. What this does is it essentially creates a client folder with an engagement doc and an onboarding doc. And so this is what that folder is going to typically look like. And then inside the onboarding doc, there's going to be a page where we are defining the ICP. So this is something that we do typically within an onboarding call. Once we have that, we then start working on the copywriting. I can easily do this. You could do this yourself for yourself, or you can even hire a copywriter. This part's super simple. The complicated parts come later on as we are crafting all of this stuff and making it actually usable in real world. Okay, so once we've got the copywriting and we've understood the client, we then go into our ClickUp dashboard and we start creating the campaigns. By the way, I have an extension over here. This allows me to know how many campaign tasks I have to do. So that's how I would keep track of that. And so we've got a sample campaign over here. So what this is going to do, I'll do a live demo for you guys. Let's open up the folder. We have a client folder inside Clay, and these are all of the campaigns. We'll refresh the page so you guys see the real-time data. So we go here, new campaign, that's the latest one. We go into Smartlead, refresh the page as well, and you'll notice this is the latest one. And so everything that I'm about to show you is fully automated, leveraging this over here. What this is going to save us is probably around 30 minutes of manual, tedious work that we just don't want to do. And so if you're creating 10 campaigns times 30, that's 300 minutes, 5 hours, that's a lot of time, right? And so we're getting the campaign, getting the client, logging into Clay, creating the campaign inside Smartlead, moving it to the Smartlead folder, which, by the way, this is huge. I don't know why many people don't use the Smartlead folders, like huge time saver. We're updating the schedule to ensure that we're sending it in the time zone of the specific client. Updating the campaign settings, adding the email accounts. This is super, super massive as well because let's say we have a client with 100 inboxes and 20 of those inboxes are still within the 2-week warm-up period. We're only going to add the 20 that have finished the warm-up, sorry, the 80 that have finished the warm-up period. So everything else that's still in warming up, we wouldn't add that. And this is not something that you would be able to do simply by looking at the email accounts list, right? So this automation just saved us so much time. We are doing all of this stuff inside Clay as well. And in addition to that, we're creating a subsequence. So what I just did there, that is a few, like 30 minutes worth of work. So let's refresh the page again and I'll show you how all of this stuff works. And then we'll get into the Clay tables and the campaigns themselves. So this is the campaign, sample campaign for video. And over here, we can refresh the page. And the campaign is also going to be here. So I'm going to start with the Clay stuff, and then we'll walk into the Smartlead stuff right afterwards. And so this is essentially a master Clay table, which is the exact same campaign table that I use for every single campaign, no matter which client. This is built to be very scalable in terms of list building. So I can build a list from any source and add it to this campaign and it's going to work. The very end of this is going to add it to a Smartlead campaign. So you could start to see how Clay and Smartlead are related. Clay is where we house all of the lists and the enrichment stuff, and then everything is sent to Smartlead at the very end of that table. Now, let me show you some unique components of this table. So when we go over here, we are able to put a full name. So let's put my name, and you'll notice we have a formula that gets the first name from the full name and the last name from the full name. And so, as you can imagine, some lists are only going to have the full name. Some lists are only going to have the first name and last name, right? But because we have these formulas that take into account all of these unique different combinations, we are then able to validate the emails, because these validation providers, they're often going to require, oh, I mean, this is a validation, so it's not requiring that. But like, for example, this requires a full person's name. And so we've already taken that into account. Let me show you some other stuff over here. So like normalizing the company names, like if you're aware of Clay, then this wouldn't be something that you really need to. This is not something that's new to you, but these are things that we don't have to do over and over and over and over again. It just happens once, and then we're good. Something else when it comes to crafting these campaigns, we're actually using tons of templates, and so let's do other person, other contact over here. And then let's go all the way to the very bottom here, find other contact. And then let's just do like full name merged, save and don't run. And then this is going to pop up three different columns. And so anytime we're using those AI enrichments, we're using any sort of complex workflows, what we're trying to do is save those workflows as templates so that we can recall them over again in the future. And so something that I like to do is reference other contacts at the same company. And so if I have a long list of 10,000 leads and there's multiple contacts in the same companies, I can actually do a lookup in the same row to find those other contacts and then filter out the contact in the specific row so that I can send a message to Noel but reference Bruce. Be like, hey, Noel, notice that you work with Bruce. And then to Bruce, I say, hey, Bruce, notice that you work with Noel. So this is an example of a template, but we just got that process set up in 30 seconds, right? If you're curious how to set up a template, you would simply just select a column and then save it as a template. You can also group it as well. So group, save as template, and then that is how you would recall it. So that is the clay stuff. Let's go into Smartlead stuff. So we also created the Smartlead campaign over here. By the way, are you seeing how much time I'm saving? Like, it's insane, right? So we go into Smartlead and let's create the sequence. So the sequence is not actually here. And the reason why it's not here is because I've actually found that my workflow, my preferred thing, is to actually craft these sequences inside Google Docs and then add them later. Though you, if you wanted to, you could automate that. And so look over here, we've got 60 sender accounts. The really important thing, 60 sender accounts that have all finished the warm-up period, the 2-week warm-up period. And how we do that is over here, we go to management and we have a tag, right? So we've got two tags. We have active and new. So if it's in the new tag, then that means that it's a brand new email account that's still in the 2-week warm-up period. If it's an active tag, that means it's finished the warm-up period. And how we set up these tags is leveraging these automations over here. So both of these over here. So this one is the very first one, which essentially sets up any new email accounts. So it checks essentially every single day for new email accounts added within the past, I guess this is 3 days, but that's fine. Like 3 days is fine. We wanna give ourselves some breathing room in case we run into an error or something. So the past 3 days, we get all of the email accounts. We add them into ClickUp, so our database tool and project management tool and all of that. But we also schedule a warm-up date. And so to schedule a warm-up date, we're essentially adding the email account, having the create date. But in addition to that, we are scheduling the end date 10 days after the create date. And then in this next automation, it essentially gets the email accounts that have the end date earlier than now. So 10 days from now, these new email accounts are going to start popping up here. And so if we were to run this, it would result in a bunch of email accounts. I guess we've already finished all the warm-ups, which is awesome, right? But this is what it would do, right? And then from here, we would get all the email accounts, update the tags, and then set them as warm-up complete. And that's how we are setting up these tags as active and new. And so back to Smartlead. We've got the 60 sender accounts. We've also got all of the campaigns scheduled in the way that we want them to be scheduled. In addition to that, we've got all of the campaign settings. So if you ever forget to set things as plain text, boom, we've got that. Don't track email opens, don't track links, we've got that. the follow-up percentage the way we want, all of these intelligent categorization, all of this stuff, we've got all of that taken care of. And when we go back into ClickUp, now this is why this process is so amazing. It's because it links the campaign with the clay table. And so it makes our list building process super, super easy. Because inside ClickUp, we are able to click on the campaign URL, it takes us to Smartlead, click on the clay URL, it takes us to clay. And with regards to list building, we already know that at the very end of this, it's going to add it to the Smartlead campaign, right? And so let's move on to the next part, which is list building. How do we do the list building aspect? How we do that is we essentially import, and when we import as a CSV, and again, we can import from any source, right? So we would import the source, import as a CSV, it would come into this table, and then at the very end, go to the campaign. Now, because this is created as a workbook, we can also add, and we can say add and find people. So let's go ahead and find some CEOs of 2 to 10 employee businesses, right? So let's do CEO. Actually, let's just do C-suite. It's fine. And then let's get like 50 people, right? So 50 people, one at a company, one at a company, preview people. Um, oh yeah, let's eliminate this. All right, so preview people, boom. And then now we're going to get 50 people imported into this same workbook. And so we don't even need to guess like where are the leads coming from. When we click on this clay URL, it's going to have the list building and it's also going to have the campaign all related to one another. And so now we've got 50, we've got a bunch of people lists. And then to add a column, we would essentially just add an enrichment and do that template thing that I had mentioned. But if we don't have a template, we can also just do write to other table. So write to other table. And the table we write it to is this one over here. So select table to write it to, and then do campaign, boom. And then we just simply map the fields. And realistically, we don't even need to use like a template because this stuff is so easy to map, right? So save and don't run. Let's just run these 2 over here. Let's run these 3. And now, as you can see, we've got a bunch of contacts for this specific one. And if the auto update was enabled, it would be great. And then we would find the emails, validate them, and then send them to the campaign. Okay, but the campaign is not done yet. We still need to create the copywriting. So let's go in here and let's add some of that copy. And I'll show you the final part of this workflow, which is getting the copywriting to work. So let's go ahead and copy this over here, which is like essentially like a sample test. Like this is not perfect. It's just getting an idea of like what we could say in an email, right? So we grab this, we copy the subject as well. As you can see, even the first name and stuff, it's not all formatted right? So it's really just meant to be an idea. And even this, we wouldn't use a signature like this. Okay, so boom, we've got the stuff here. So I would essentially just format it to make sure that all of the stuff is removed. Okay, this is really annoying. Anyways, it's fine. We will do this first name, and now we've got an email. And so what I like to do when I'm writing all of these emails is I try to pretend like I have no idea what I'm doing. So like I'm just a useless copywriter, and my email is probably going to fail. And so because of that assumption, I just write a lot of email variations. And so this right here is an example of a shortened email. But not anymore. Yeah, so we can literally remove all of this and just shorten it even more. So this is an example of how I would make this email shorter. Boom, 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 and then change the CTA and all of that stuff. And so that's the process, right? And then we create another variation, another variation, another variation, and then we find what works. But that's the process. Cheers.